Mark, you were saying that if you could have a sit-down, pump-em full of truth serum conversation with Sean Payton, that he would admit that he needs to be better.
Yeah.
In what ways?
I think that Sean is always one of those guys that wants to be on cutting edge, wants to have, depth and answers for every situation. And so I think he would tell you that, hey, man, I'm a little bit disappointed. I really thought that we could be more multiple. I really thought that we could be more in-depth. I really thought that we could go, like the quarterback was ready for this. And obviously, I keep pushing it, knowing that we're going to be some growing pains. But obviously, we just weren't ready as an offense for the next level. Kind of you've talked about it a bunch, the Drew Brees 2.0. And we're just not quite ready for it. And so I think that in a moment of truth that he would tell you that. Now, will that change? Or is he still going to is he going to sit there and say, but we're going to push through, and eventually, as long as we're winning and we're 8-2, we're going to push through this thing, and eventually we're going to be where we need to be come playoff time? I can't tell you whether he's going to say that or not. I know one thing he didn't say. He didn't call Colin Cowherd and say, hey, I'm thinking about drafting another quarterback. I can promise you that. That's a non-starter right there.
Well, so you're telling me that Sean would tell us that, hey, it's too much. Well, if that's the truth, then you got to realize that, okay, we got a really good team. We got a really good defense. Let's try to simplify this as much as possible. Why not do that? If it's too much and it's not working and he looks at it and he knows that and he would tell us that, then as a coach, you have the as an offensive coordinator and a head coach, you have the responsibility to your football team and your quarterback to take a step back and try to simplify it then.
Completely.
Because now you're doing
agree.
a disservice to your defense. You're doing a disservice to this offense. You're telling me you can't just plow through it because you're good. Now, if you stunk, okay, who cares? But you're good. You have a chance to do something special. I think you have to look within, and you have to come to that conclusion. But if you don't, here's the other thing. If you don't come to that conclusion by yourself, do you have someone on your staff to be able to tell you?
Bingo.
Do you have that person? I mean,
bingo.
Sean's strong-willed. He's been around these guys a long time, but still, it's not going to be Davis Webb, is it? He just got a shot. You don't think he's knocking on Sean's door saying, hey, coach, I want to talk to you. We're doing too much. This is too much for Bo. So it's going to have to come from someone else. Is it Lombardi? Is it Carmichael?
Right.
Because
do you have a guy on your staff that will challenge you? And I don't know.
Could Vance do it? Why not Vance?
Well,
Vance is coaching defense.
But
he can also bring a defensive person's perspective about how
he's worried about his defense.
Yeah,
he's going to have to come from offensive.
He can take a break.
JV, sit to the side.
That will never happen. You've got.
I'm trying to be a competer.
All right. I've always had guys on the staff that I played on that would challenge the head coach. And it usually was the O-line coach because he'd get mad if you're throwing it too much or if you're doing too much or whatever it is. And I've been in a meeting. I'll never forget this meeting that I sat in, and Alex Gibbs was so pissed off about something. He went out in the hallway and called Mike from the team meeting room. So he left the offensive line meeting room, went out, called Mike out from the team meeting room, and they got into a screaming match at one another while we're sitting in meetings. And I'm talking about F-bombs and the whole 9 yards. And then he said, I refuse to have my guys do it. I refuse to do that. And it was one of those things where at some point, somebody on that staff needs to say, dude, this is like we've got to change some things up. And the reason that Sean, I think sometimes you can't see the forest through the trees because you think you're going to push through as a coach. We're going to push through. We're close. You see it. Hey, these fourth quarters, like I know we can do it. I know we can play that way because we've done it. And so you keep pushing. But at some point, I'm with you, Stoke. I think you've got to have somebody on your staff that just says, hey, man, let's simple it down. Let's dial it back a little bit. And then we'll start adding to it once we kind of once we kind of find a couple of identity things that we do well.
Once we master something.
Yeah.
Once we finally figure, and we're good at something, now you can build off of that. You just try to do it too fast, too quick. It's not working offensively. It's just not. I mean, we're seeing it. It's not even close to working. Here's the other part here that's difficult. Not all the time, but usually, I don't know what the percentage is out there, but your head coach isn't your play caller in a lot of situations, right? So I think that becomes tricky. When your head coach is also your play caller, who's going to be that guy? If you just had an offensive coordinator, well, your head coach would come to him and say, "Hey, what the heck are you doing? Our quarterback is drowning here. It's too much." But when your head coach is also your coordinator, plus this guy's been there, done that at the highest of levels, won a Super Bowl, very successful. Look where we're at. We're 8-2. It's kind of hard to approach him and say, "Hey, look, you got to change your philosophy here." It becomes a very difficult thing to do. I don't, and I understand if you're one of those guys, it's a hard thing to go up to Sean's office and say, "Buddy, it's not working for our quarterback right now."
Mike, you told me in the break. What'd you watch this weekend?
So I was interested. The New England Tampa game was on here locally, and so with all the conversation about Bo, I was curious to watch Drake May, who's having a fantastic year by all accounts. And what really stood out to me is just how much calmer Drake May looks in the pocket. He's not looking to escape. He's standing in there. He's stepping up. There's not that frantic foot action that Dan Orlovsky talks about. He's standing there. He's delivering balls in the middle of the field. The pocket gets muddy. He's taking some hits, but he's still delivering. And there's a level of calmness when I watched Drake May play yesterday that I just don't see from Bo. Now maybe you can go further because you've done a couple of Patriot games. What is Josh McDaniels, he who shall not be named, doing with Drake that may be different than what Sean's doing with Bo?
Yeah.
Because there is a noticeable difference in the way those two play quarterback.
100%. And I think, to Stokes' point, it's simplicity. And one of the conversations I had, and this is just, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, you did. Yeah. A few weeks ago. Cleveland game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Josh McDaniels and the New England Patriots. And one of the conversations I had was Drake May right now is a front side of the formation reader. 1 to 2 to take off and run. And it's just been they've kept it so simple. And Josh is like, "Hey, listen, occasionally we get to the third read in the progression. I'd like to get there more because it would save some hits on the quarterback. Occasionally we get 1, 2 to 3. I'd like to get 1, 2 to 3 to check down. That's where we're working towards. But right now he's not like. Right now he's just basically more comfortable going 1 to 2 to take off and let me go make something happen with my feet." But he's calm because he knows, hey, I got time 1 to 2, and I don't have to race through my progressions. And like Josh said, hey, occasionally it gets to 3. I want it to be more. It's not as much as I'd like it because that would save some hits and save some contact. But he is making big-time plays, and he's making great decisions when he does decide to pull it and take off. And I don't know what his run numbers are. I don't know how many times a game he scrambles. But I guarantee you it's kind of like what you said last week going into the Raiders game. Man, I'd love to see him run a little bit more. Drake May does a good job with that stuff. But I think there is a simplicity in the construction of the offense to where we're saying, hey, man, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to grow this thing slowly as opposed to lump it all on your plate. And I don't know. I'm not over there at the Broncos facility, but it certainly looks like Bo Nix is a little overwhelmed at times.
Yeah, I'm thinking about certainly. I mean, and we heard the comment on on the game when Bo got bad. That was Bo, right? And so it's one of those things where you can tell he's getting frustrated, and you ask yourself, well, could Bo be the guy to just go tell Sean? Right? Hey, man, this is a lot. This is too much. you're overloading me. This is overwhelming. It's just everything is moving fast. Let's simplify this thing. He can't be that guy, can he? What? You know why he can't be that guy?
Why not?
Because Sean's pumped him up. He's pumped him up. And so you're going to be the next great quarter. What do you mean this is too much for you?
So he's afraid he'll be disappointed in him?
Well, yeah. I mean, like, if you pumped me up and told me how good I am and how good I'm going to be, and then I come to you and say, I can't function in this offense. I can't function right now because what you're giving me is too much in year 2. Right? I mean, so it becomes a difficult thing to do.